If the Super Mario Bros. Theme was launched in 2023, I don't think it will get nominated for the Grammy. In 2011, video game music made history when Baba Yetu, composed by Christopher Tin for the video game Civilization 4, won the Best Instrumental Arrangement Accompanying Vocalists at the 53rd Grammy Awards. And then, Austin Wintory's score for Journey was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media in 2013. And then finally, in 2022, Charlie Rosen and Jake Silverman from the 8-Bit Big Band won the Grammy Award for the Best Arrangement, Instrumental or A Cappella for their cover of Meta Knight's Revenge from Kirby Superstar. But it wouldn't be until 12 years later, since Baba Yetu won the Grammy, that the Recording Academy finally decided to add the category called Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games and Other Interactive Media. And as we enter this second year with this category in mind, I would like to check out all the nominees for 2024, but also give my thoughts on last year's winner. Let's go check out these Grammy nominees and kind of see what the Recording Academy is going for when it comes to choosing the winners. And if it's your first time here, I am String Player Gamer. If you love listening to and talking about video game music, hit that subscribe button because this is the place to be. This is last year's winner, the soundtrack from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dawn of Ragnarok DLC. The composer is Stephanie Economou, and we're gonna listen to one of the soundtracks, the main theme as it were, from this DLC. This is Jotunheim. Percussive, energetic, I love it. Wow, that was an interesting progression. I kind of dig this. Wow. Yeah, I would call that like Viking metal. There's this very brutal rhythmic section with the distorted electric guitars and all these percussive noises that evoke weapons or axes and swords and shields being used as instruments. They have this certain metallic quality to it, but also this very warlike atmosphere that the rhythms create. Yeah, this is Viking metal. It's very cinematic, amazing. And now we're diving deep into the nominees of the 2024 Grammy Awards. This is the main theme to God of War Ragnarok, composed by Bear McCreary. And I'm already expecting epicness because I've been following Bear McCreary's work ever since I heard his music in the Battlestar Galactica remake. Yes, cinematic, visceral, with percussive rhythms. There's this ancient-like atmosphere to it, something that is world-weary, larger than life. I remember listening to this piece before, and this passage always reminds me of that harmonic sensibilities of John Williams. That's why, this very cinematic feel, it's movie-like, and if you're familiar with God of War, everything is larger than life. Gods fighting gods, ultra giants and all that, magical powers, ancient prophecies. It's a massive fantasy playground. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, but not the first Modern Warfare 2, the second Modern Warfare 2. You know what? I wouldn't even bother. This is one of the nominees, composed by Sarah Schachner, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and this is the main theme. But let's see why it got nominated for Best Video Game Soundtrack. Cinematic horns again. Of course, it's going with the more electronic, pulsating Hollywood action style score, kind of reminiscent of the music score that you would hear in shows like 24. Wow. All right. So from what I heard from last year's winner, there's this commonality of cinematic action rhythms with some experimental distorted sounds, but then there's also the standard orchestral instrumentation, percussion, horns, string section. It's all still being confined or being contained within a symphonic format, whether it's electronic or world or metal, it's still under a symphonic bracket. The next nominee is from Hogwarts Legacy. The composers are Chuck E. Myers, J. Scott Rakoczy, and Peter Murray, and this is a piece called Overture to the Unwritten. Charles Cornell put a really great video explaining the parallelisms of the music of Hogwarts Legacy to John Williams' original score for the original Harry Potter films. Go watch that if you want to deep dive some more into this music. It's like a reverse palindrome note. They were quoting John Williams, but only in a subtle way. Then they changed it, but that's supposed to be the melody of Harry's Wondrous World. This is emulating the whimsical, happy nature of that Diagon Alley theme. I also hear a bit of the Quidditch theme. Yes, they're emulating so many of the motifs from the movies without actually doubling down on it. They're just giving you a tiny hint of something familiar, but then they bend it to sound their own original way. This reminds me now of that God of War Ragnarok theme. Huge sounding percussion, low sounding horns. Yeah, very battle-like. I think in cinema, in film scores, especially in Hollywood fantasy film scores, the orchestral bass drum, concert bass, and the growling, raspy voice of the low horns is kind of become the kind of standardized way to kind of portray something ominous, but in a grand way, in a way that is similar to the lower registers of the piano becoming a standard trope of some horror film scores. Maybe in fantasy battle scenes, the horns and the percussions, that's kind of the equivalent. They're even using the same chord progression. Oh my god. That's how you ended it? Interesting choice. But yes, oh my god. So far, 2 nominees and the 1 winner from last year. I'm beginning to sense a theme here. So far, what I know about Stray Gods is that it's an interactive Broadway musical video game. And I've been hearing rave reviews left and right from my colleagues in the VGM sphere. Austin Wintory is not only one of the most talented composers in video games today, he's also a very cool dude, very chill dude. In fact, I got to meet him during MagFest 2016. This is called Adrift, featuring Laura Bailey and Ashley Johnson from Stray Gods.
Like a boat lost at sea, with no sails, not a breeze, I am drifting cold waters, no star to be seen. Is the world too much, or is it just me? Everything I set upon unravels at my feet. Everything I've learned wasted on a girl who doesn't know how.
I love a good emotional waltz.
Like a boat lost at sea, with no sails.
Oh, cool jacket. I like this game already.
Is there any path through? Like a boat lost at sea. Oh, I'm about to with no sails. Not a you still have your life ahead.
Beautiful counterpoint.
Like a boat lost at sea, with no sails, not a breeze. I am drifting cold waters, no star to be seen.
Very cool. So far, this is a refreshing entry compared to the very visceral cinematic orchestral compositions we listened to previously. And the last Grammy nominee for this video is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and this is a song called Dark Times. And the composer is Stephen Barton and Gordy Hab. And we're back to the cinematic orchestral sound. it is very obviously emulating the counterpoint and harmonic sensibilities of John Williams' Star Wars scores. There's a very distinct flavor in John Williams' Star Wars compositions in particular, compared to his other works in movies like Superman and Harry Potter. There is just a very inherent modulation heavy with emphasis on French horn melodies in the Star Wars compositions of John Williams that if you stray away from that, you can kind of notice that it is not John Williams who composed the music. Obviously not. But John Williams' Star Wars scores has become such a distinct brand of the franchise that straying away from it makes it not feel Star Wars at all. That was an Imperial March cadence. Yeah, so much inspiration being taken from John Williams, and it's very obvious why. Da, 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 da. That is one of the leitmotifs from the movies. I just realized there's 2 John Williams-esque nominees in this Grammy Awards. A very obvious trend that I think I can make a hypothesis at the end of this video. All right, that was Star Wars. At least in the first half, it definitely sounds like Star Wars in the sense of a John Williams-esque harmonic flavor. But overall, it definitely falls in line with most of the other nominees in that it is larger-than-life sounding, orchestral, symphonic, lots of bombastic horns, and brutal sounding percussion. I guess it's very obvious what the Grammys are going for. They're definitely going for the most John Williams sounding music. They're going for the symphonic orchestral style that we already commonly hear in Hollywood films. And I believe this is currently what the Recording Academy considers as the deserving nominees for Best Video Game Soundtrack. And I think the only breath of fresh air among the nominees, of course, is the song Adrift from Stray Gods. But I also think that if it were a Broadway play, an actual Broadway play, it could also get nominated for like a Tony Award or something like that. That is also in line with the stage theatrical awards. But yeah, we're just heading into the second year of the Best Video Game Soundtrack category in the Grammy Awards. And I believe there's still a lot of room for growth, a lot of evolutions that will probably happen. And I'm hoping that the Academy would eventually also expand their horizons when it comes to video game music, because there's also a ton of amazing chiptune style compositions, lo-fi style compositions. If the Super Mario Brothers theme, the way it was originally composed, was launched in 2023, I don't think it will get nominated for the Grammy because of their stylistic preferences on choosing the most Hollywood film sounding score. And I get that each award-winning body has their own flavor. That is why you don't really rely on just one award-giving body to kind of get a bigger picture of what the professionals of the industry prefers. That's why we also have DICE Awards, the Game Awards, Audio Gang Awards. It is these collective award-giving bodies that are sort of trusted to kind of give a critical look on what the game industry or what the music in the gaming industry looks like right now. Of course, there are so many factors. Awards shows are one thing, but also sales are another. Review scores, audience scores. If you combine all of that together, you're gonna get a bigger picture of the gaming industry in general. Award ceremonies, award shows, review scores, audience scores, these can all be very divisive. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to look at all of them collectively from a bigger picture lens. And out of all that chaotic mess, you can kind of see a reflection of what the video game industry is from the professional's point of view, view, from the audience's point of view, and all of that combined, that chaotic mess. That is our gaming industry. And so back to my original question. Is the Grammy Awards good for video game music? My short answer, yes. My long answer, as one of the longest surviving institutions in the music industry and what is perceived to be one of the most prestigious awards of recognition in the music industry, and even though the Grammy Awards itself sometimes fluctuate in relevance depending on the era, you can't deny its stability and longevity. The fact that they have finally recognized the significance and the cultural relevance of video game music by adding this new Best Video Game Soundtrack category means it could only lead to more potential greatness and recognition for the video game music industry moving forward. But I also recognize that the gaming industry is one of the youngest entertainment industries, being only 60 plus years old compared to the movie industry, which is double that at 120 plus years old. The gaming industry itself has a lot of evolutions to overcome, especially with all these layoffs and all these issues that's happening right now. I only wish the best for our favorite entertainment industry. Now, which of the nominees is your favorite? Or did you have another video game soundtrack you wanted nominated instead? Let us all know in the comments. Now click on this next video for more discussions about video game music. Let's go.